Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land. Welcome parents to our prep classroom. I'm Jesse Jamison and my fellow teacher is Sophie Spencer. Today we'll be running you through our plan for your children for the next 3 years in terms of their art journey. As teachers, it's our responsibility to provide our students with an authentic arts experience that allows them the space to freely express themselves within the 5 subjects of art. They are visual arts, media arts, drama, dance, and music. Within this presentation, Sophie and I will run you through what an authentic arts experience looks like and how we plan to teach it. How your children will be developing throughout the 3 years relating to self-expression and their place in the world, while also developing their technical skills. And we'll even give some examples of how you can help your child's development outside of the classroom. While this may be a lot to go over and seem a little daunting, the core message is that our students, your children, are creators, communicators, and meaning makers, and we aspire to challenge them with meaningful, authentic, open-ended, child-centered experiences. To help you understand, we have highlighted some key information in the handout we've given you. Before we talk more in depth about the 5 subject areas and how your children will progress through them over the 3 years, to begin with, let's explore what an authentic arts education experience actually is. When teaching art, students should have regular, sustained, and rigorous experiences with art, practices, and processes. Authentic arts educational practices focuses on developing children's capability to explore, express, and communicate ideas. These experiences should be open-ended and creatively inspiring to students. This means that we as teachers need to maintain a positive learning environment where a high level of trust and respect is exhibited in both student-teacher and student-student relationships. We strive to achieve a central focus on valuing our students' artistic interpretation and expression of the world around them. Students will be able to explore, develop, make, present, and reflect over the course of their 3 years with us, free of being pigeonholed or coerced towards a certain finished product, and most importantly, be able to create without judgment. This positive learning environment will be maintained throughout the 5 subject areas of art. As effective teachers, we value and are interested in what children think, feel, what matters to them, and what they believe. This emphasis on the student helps develop a sense of identity, which helps build their self-confidence and self-esteem. So now that we have defined what an authentic arts education is, let's look more deeply into each of the 5 art subjects and how your child's development will look at the end of the 3 years. Dance. Throughout their time with us, students will take part in a series of activities that highlight the world of dance. Through these activities, they will explore where and why people dance, while partaking in dances created for them and created by them. By the end of Year 2, students will be able to describe elements used in dance and why they are effective. This knowledge will then be used by students to represent ideas through movement, as demonstrated in dance sequences of their own creation, which they will then present to their peers. During the course of this learning, we will make sure students understand and implement an appropriate level of safe practice. Drama. Similar to dance, students will focus on developing their understanding of where and why there is drama. Students will learn how to identify what happens in drama and the elements that are used within it. Through watching others, while also being able to experience dramatic play and improvisation, students will develop an understanding of drama before making and performing their own pieces. These pieces will be focusing on role and situation. Students will then be able to reflect and critique their own work and the work of others by the conclusion of Year 2. Media arts. Through the exploration of media arts, students will develop their understanding of how media arts are made and, more importantly, why. Over the course of their learning, students will be able to make, view, and share their media artworks. By the end of Year 2, students will have an understanding of story principles, composition, sound, and technologies, and how they can be utilised in their own pieces of art. Music. Over the course of 3 years, students will actively understand and communicate about the music they listen to, while also being able to improvise, compose, arrange, and perform their own musical pieces. They will demonstrate oral skills by staying in tune and keeping time when they both sing and play. They must also exhibit an understanding of where and why people make music. Now I'll hand over to Sophie, who will conclude the 5 subjects of art with visual art before diving into an example we have provided.
Visual arts includes the fields of art, craft, and design. Learning in and through these fields, students create visual representations and communicate, challenge, and express their own and others' ideas as an artist and audience. In the visual arts, students will become aware of visual conventions and learn to notice visual detail, explore and how art works and why it is created, and ways to use and apply visual conventions such as line, shape, color, and texture. Students will learn how their ideas or subject matter can be developed through different forms of styles, techniques, materials, and technologies used. They will learn about how and why artists, craftspeople, and designers present their ideas through different visual representations, practices, process, and viewpoints. The foundations to Year 2, Learning in the Arts, builds on the early years learning framework. Students are engaged through purposeful and creative play in structured activities, fostering a strong sense of well-being and developing their connection with a contribution to the world. As you can see here, this is a clear picture of a visual art activity I did with some of my Year 2 students last year. In this image displays multiple dots and colours with various shades and tints. This painting was one of the experimental activities performed, and the subject of this creative activity was to enable students' understanding of how black and white could transform a shade. From mixing these colours into various other colours, the children were able to see how the white would make colours lighter and the black would make them much darker, depending on how much was distributed in each colour. This exercise was an open-ended activity where the kids were allowed to freely experiment and make play with the colours. They were encouraged to create as many dots or shapes as they desired, in an order of their choosing. This allowed the children to express their ability to independently learn and understand how colours and shades are used. In the Australian curriculum, the arts is a learning area that draws together related but distinct art forms. While these art forms have close relationships and are often used in interrelated ways, each involves different approaches to the art practices and critical and creative thinking that reflects distinct bodies of knowledge. The content descriptors in each of the art subjects reflect the interrelated strands or the key features that are making and responding. According to the curriculum, making in each of the art subjects engages the students' cognition, imagination, senses and emotions in conceptual and practical ways, and involves them to think kinesthetically, critically, and creatively. Students make connections from ideas, resources, expressive or imaginative impulses, or internal stimulus to produce and create art. Students work independently or collaboratively to experiment with techniques and materials set out to interpret meaning and explore all possibilities across diverse art forms. Whereas responding allows students to explore, respond, analyze, and critically evaluate art as they are experiencing it. Students begin to learn the understanding of appreciation for contextual art or artworks by making their own art pieces. When responding, students learn the relationship between the artist and the audience, and how they can evaluate and interpret meaning behind the artwork. So, to sum it up, in making and responding to artworks, we encourage our students to consider how an art can be explored, and interpret based on the experience of creating a piece and the connection it can have to its audience. Further questions you may have are presented in the framework for developing students' knowledge, understanding, inquiry skills that are found in the curriculum. It is important for us as teachers to enforce child safety. Followed by the Queensland Government, it is our job to identify and respond to any suspected child abuse or child neglect, to help families find access to support services that may build on parental strength or address any issues that impact their parenting. We ensure safe and supportive environments for your child and prevent foreseeable harm to students. We will also allow the Students Protection Procedure and the allegations against employees in the area of student protection, which enforces safety over any past, current, or future students. So expect your child to freely express any doubts or struggles they have or may have with given tasks in class. No bullying will be tolerated as we promote kindness and respect in our safe environment. Lastly, art is to be a subject of fun-loving personal expression, where children can feel comfort and express themselves freely and openly in a safe environment. That brings the end of this presentation. I hope that you are all feeling a little bit more comfort in knowing what the Authentic Art program entails and what we are expected of you and your child. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you.